This has serious implications for the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are quickly approaching the second apron of the salary cap set by the NBA. This could cause major problems for the Denver Nuggets now and in the future. Amy Sutherland here to discuss all things salary cap and second apron. But before we do that, please hit the subscribe button. About 86% of you are watching these videos without being subscribed. It's free. Hit the subscribe button and join our Nuggets Digest community. So, recent quotes by Josh Kroenke, the Nuggets owner and governor, have had Nuggets fans in a whirlwind. They came out and clarified that Josh Kroenke is not planning on trading Nikola Jokić ever. Nikola Jokić is a staple of the Denver Nuggets. He will be staying with the Denver Nuggets as long as he would like to stay with the Denver Nuggets. From all of the clarification I've heard, that's the plan. The Denver Nuggets want Nikola Jokić on the team. Thank goodness. Obviously, we would not want to trade Nikola Jokić anywhere. But the statement by Josh Kroenke caused Denver Nuggets fans concern, obviously, and then it caused them to have a lot of questions about the salary cap in the NBA and what the second apron in the salary cap means. Before I talk about all of that, I've done research and I'm going to tell you what I found. But before I jump into that, I wanted to share a quote by Ben Tenzer, the now vice president of basketball operations for the Denver Nuggets. He said in his very first press conference as vice president, said when asked about the second apron and the salary cap, he said, "It's a fascinating one because when there's this new CBA, there's unintended consequences that come with that. So we're studying everything right now. The second apron is challenging because it's very restrictive if you go over that. So yeah, we're looking at everything and we are very aware of those rules. Ownership has always provided us the resources we need, and we feel that we'll always have that." Obviously, a super reassuring quote. This is great to hear. Ben Tenzer, the vice president of basketball operations, and John Wallace, the vice president of player personnel, it is their job. It is their whole livelihood to study the salary cap and the second apron and know the ins and outs. I don't know it quite as well as they know it. But like I said, I did some research this morning and I want to talk to you about what the salary cap is, what the second apron means for the Denver Nuggets and for the league as a whole. So the salary cap was recently adjusted. It started in the 1940s from what I could find. They tried it out for the first time. It's come off and on. Last year, all of the teams in the NBA agreed on a new CBA adjusting the salary cap. So the goal of a salary cap is to evenly distribute the stars between the teams in the NBA. So it is a soft cap. Many other professional sports, I think almost all of other professional sports, also have a salary cap, but their cap is harder. For example, the NFL have a salary cap and a team cannot go over the salary cap. In the NBA, the salary cap is more fluid, it has more fluctuation, and teams are allowed to go over the cap for certain prices. So first, when a team goes over the salary cap, there is a limit and they only have to pay a luxury tax. After that, there is a second limit, the first apron, where more tax and certain penalties arise. Then, if they go even higher above the salary cap, then the second apron of penalties and payments comes into play. So this is luxury tax, first apron, second apron. The fluid salary cap is, like Ben Tenzer said, a very interesting concept because teams can pay to just go over. If a owner wants to just has the deepest pockets and wants to just pay, they can. So this has, with the new CBA, teams like the Golden State Warriors, when they signed Kevin Durant, all they had to do was pay more of a luxury tax. Now, with the first apron and the second apron, that doesn't allow for just a payment. It causes implications. It causes penalties for seasons and seasons to come. So let's talk a little bit about what the second apron penalties are. So the first apron causes that sign and trades are not permitted if the player acquired keeps the team above the apron. So if a player comes in and he keeps them above the second apron, they cannot sign and trade. They cannot sign players who were waived during the regular season if their salary was above the $12.2 million mid-level exception. So the team in the first apron cannot sign players that were waived. And lastly, the salary matching in trade has to be within 110% instead of 125% teams in good standing get. So they are just allowed less money. In the second apron, so when they go into the second apron, all of the things in the first apron apply, and then they move into having even more penalties. They cannot have access to the MLE in free agency, and they cannot absorb contracts of players. They cannot trade first-round picks from 7 years out. So if they wanted to trade future picks, they cannot go 7 years out, which honestly for the Denver Nuggets would be horrible because we have very few trades. They cannot use trade exceptions from the previous year. They cannot use cash in trades, and first round picks move straight to the end of the first round if the team stays in the second apron for 3 or 5 years. So that means that if the Denver Nuggets had a first round pick and they stayed in the second apron for 3 to 5 years, they would not have a first round pick at the beginning of the first round. All of their picks would move to the end of the first round. These are some major penalties that obviously no team in the NBA wants, especially the Denver Nuggets as they're trying to build around Nikola Jokić and really dive into making his prime basketball years very valuable. So the second apron is a punishment for teams that are doing this. Let's talk a little bit about how the Denver Nuggets are doing with this. So this is the projected salaries for next season and where the Denver Nuggets will fit into the salary cap. So they will be at $220 billion. The cap space that they have, they're over it by $65 billion. Oh, that's million. Guys, I know how to do math. I promise. I don't know why I was saying billion. It's just more money than I understand. So, million, they're over it by 65 million. They are over the first apron by 1 million, and they are approaching the second apron with $10 million. So, there are a few extensions that are coming up. Christian Braun will be able to extend after next year. The Nuggets are quickly approaching the second apron, and that's where Josh Kroenke's quote came in. If the Denver Nuggets did approach this and go over it, their trades would have to be made. Obviously, Nikola Jokić is not the first on the chopping block. Other players would be, but if there were injuries, this is what Josh Kroenke was saying. If there were injuries and other players weren't able to be traded, the second apron would cause a huge trade with Nikola Jokić to happen. Not likely to happen at all. They would do anything that they can to keep Nikola Jokić on the team. So the second apron and the Denver Nuggets would be serious and would cause a lot of fans to be upset because this would not only impact the Denver Nuggets that season by going over the salary cap, having to pay a lot of luxury tax, having been in the first apron, and then going into the second apron causes future problems. Nobody wants that in the organization. I also wanted to review how much the Denver Nuggets are paying each player on the roster. I thought this graphic was extremely helpful, and I'm just going to talk about the percentages that each player are getting. So Nikola Jokić is getting about 36% of the cap percentage. This makes sense to me. Nikola Jokić, the best player on the Denver Nuggets, best player in the world. He deserves to be making this percentage of the team's salary cap. Jamal Murray is going to hit projected 30% of the salary cap this season. I've talked about this before. I'm not a super big fan of that. Michael Porter Jr. also getting about 25%, Aaron Gordon getting 15%, and this is the killer. Zeke Naji is getting about 5%. That I love that breakdown. And Christian Braun, like I said, at the end of next season is going to be up for an extension. He will most likely extend with the Denver Nuggets. We're not sure. I'm not sure how this next season is going to go. If he did, he would move up in the percentage of the salary cap. He is still on his rookie contract with the Denver Nuggets. This is a huge breakdown and a lot of information about the salary cap and the second aprons. But To just shorten it, the aprons limit or freeze teams' capabilities to move trades and to just create a roster and build that roster up. This year, there are only a couple of teams. The Boston Celtics were approaching that. With recent trades of Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, they have now bumped themselves back out of the second apron, so there will not be future problems and implications for the Boston Celtics. Many teams are going to be doing this. If they go over the second apron, they are going to have major trades to be out of the second apron. No team wants to have all of those future problems that being in the second apron causes. I hope this was helpful. I used a lot of resources: Sport Track, NBC Philly article by Sanjay Singh, and Denver Sports article by Jake Shapiro. And I hope that this was able to bring more comfort and more knowledge to the talks that you're hearing and to the quotes that you're hearing by Nuggets leadership. And we'll keep breaking down everything that we have. If you have more questions, let me know. I'll do more research and I'll figure out any question that you have. Until next time, go Nuggets.